Think about this coat room. Now, when people come to the theater, they may wear a jacket or a coat and throw it over the back of the seat. When the Civic Auditorium was opened back in 1931, people dressed up to go to the theater. People didn't throw their coats over the back of the chairs then. It was a much more civilized time. The Kalamazoo Civic Players were formed in 1929. They were formed by a band of professional actors that found themselves out of work in Kalamazoo. And about that time, a woman named Dorothy Dalton was pursuing a professional career in New York, and she was really a very good actress. And her father, Dr. W.E. Upjohn, didn't think that Greenwich Village in New York was the perfect place for his grandchildren to be raised. So he said to his daughter Dorothy, he said, if you come back to Kalamazoo, I'll build a theater where you can do plays. There is this new theatrical company that's formed, and they need a home, and I want you to come back to Kalamazoo. So if you come back, I'll build the theater. And she did come back, and he did build the Kalamazoo Civic Auditorium. There are components inside the auditorium that are reminiscent of a circus. The spindles on the stairway are reminiscent of the spokes in a circus wagon wheel. And they kind of incorporated many of these aspects throughout the auditorium as it was designed and constructed. The side lounge in the auditorium is often used as a gathering place prior to performance and during intermission. The photos that line the walls of the side lounge are production shots. Production shots reflect the shows that have been produced in the auditorium since its opening in 1931. The Kalamazoo Civic Theater has a reputation for being one of the premier community theaters in the country. And because of that reputation, we were the first non-professional theater in the United States granted permission to produce Lorraine Hansberry's classic A Raisin in the Sun. We were also the first non-professional theater in the country licensed to produce Disney's Beauty and the Beast, and we were part of a pilot program. There were 5 community theaters in the country asked to participate in a pilot program with Avenue Q, the Broadway show Avenue Q, and we were one of the first in the country to produce that as well. One of the very interesting aspects of the auditorium is that we have a complete rehearsal hall built on the upper level behind the stage. Well, there are very few theaters in the country like the Civic. Not many theaters have a wonderful theater like this. Most theaters don't have the size staff that we have or the size budget that we have. Most theaters don't enlist the number of volunteers that we do each season. So those are all factors that make the Civic very, very unique and very special. This is the makeup room. It's not being used right now, as you can tell, but it will be as soon as we go into dress rehearsal for The Hobbit. We have space here for about 8 or 10 actors at a time to come in and have their makeup done and hair and so forth. If they have wigs, they'll put those on in here as well. Well, I've had the good fortune to direct a lot of shows here at the Civic, as well as perform in a number of them, and I would say some of my favorites have been The Drowsy Chaperone, Fiddler on the Roof. I did a play called Doubt. That was a real interesting experience. And, they always say your favorite show is the one you're currently working on, and I'm getting ready to direct the Gershwin musical Crazy for You, so I would say that's probably my favorite as well. I think it would come as a surprise to most people that there's a fully equipped commercial kitchen in the Civic Auditorium. When the auditorium was built back in 1931, there were no multiplexes, there was no television, and so dinner theater was something that was very, very popular at the time. People came, they would see a show, they would dine. They would also use the Civic Auditorium for social gatherings. This is our green room. As you look around, you'll see murals on the wall that represent various forms of entertainment that were popular when the building was constructed back in 1931. Back in the 1930s and 1940s, this room was used for social gatherings as well. On the weekends, when there wasn't a show going on, there would be a musical quartet or a trio, piano, bass, and drums, and it would be like a party. It would be a dance for young people. This is where they would come and they would socialize and meet. One of the things that I really enjoy about working at the Civic is that you get to do so many different types of things. You get to work with actors, you get to work with producers, you get to work with designers. And that's really, really a lot of fun. It's very challenging. And of course, I spend a great deal of my time as the marketing director working with media outlets, whether it's print media or social media or television, radio, and so it's a lot of fun working with those folks as well. This is one of my favorite places in the auditorium. We're directly under the stage. It's called the Trap Room, and the reason it's called that is because we can take out various pieces and parts of the stage floor and put trap doors in. So if we want to have the Wicked Witch of the West and the Wizard of Oz melt, this is where she would melt too, from the stage level right down to this space. Well, you know, I'm asked all the time about the ghosts here at the Civic, and we, for as long as I can remember, there have been stories about the ghost Thelma. As long as I have been around here, Thelma has been around here, and I have only had one interaction, and it involved lights. And let me just say that I was showing a friend around the auditorium. We walked down to the edge of the stage, and I had turned on the work lights. And when we got ready to leave, my friend said, I have to go meet my sister for lunch. And I said, oh, wait a minute, I'll walk you out. I just have to turn off the lights. And right when I said that, every light in the auditorium went out. And that is the truth. I did my first show with the Kalamazoo Civic Theater back in 1978. I was a volunteer actor, and so I've had a lot of experience with the Civic. I've had a lot of interaction on a lot of different levels, and it's been a real joy to be a staff member here.